Hi Twin Flames, it's Lisa here. This video was requested by some of my male clients who are what we would call the divine feminine or the chaser on this journey. And I just wanted to go through some of the extra challenges that you may have if you are a male divine feminine. And again, like there are different variations of twin flames. So we have our same gender twin flames, where divine feminine is a male and divine masculine is a male. We have the two female twin flames, where divine feminine and divine masculine are both females. And then we have our more traditional twin flames, where the divine feminine is a female with a male divine masculine. But in this case, there are some men who are the divine feminine and their twin flame counterpart is actually a female. So this can be incredibly confusing for you, because if you are going by the labels, divine feminine sounds very feminine. So I just wanted to be clear here that it's not talking about genders, it's talking about energies. So if you are a divine feminine, by no means is it implying that you are woman-like or female. It's just referring to the feminine energy. And if you are a male divine feminine, then really you do need to treat the journey the same way as any female would as a divine feminine. I know a lot of the information is aimed towards women, and it can be very confusing when you're listening to videos and content when quite often the divine feminine is always described as a she. But this is simply not true. There are plenty of males or men who are the divine feminine label. And again, these are just labels. So try not to, get sucked too much into the labels. The labels just help us explain the roles of each twin flame. They kind of help us describe what's going on energetically, but they certainly are not referring to genders. All right, and if you are a male divine feminine, then when you're watching twin flame information or getting coaching, as many of my male clients are, you just sort of go by the same format that a female divine feminine would be following. So you just go by the information in the same way. You would be doing the same things that I would be doing on my journey, just as a man in that role. However, having said that, there are some extra challenges that I think you guys do face being a male in the divine feminine label. And some of those challenges that I think you face are that you are the leading twin or the chasing twin or the first twin to kind of awaken. So it can be really hard for you to have to not only go through the journey under the divine feminine label, but you also may have to challenge some of the stereotypes around being a man in that role. So I want you to know here, the soul is genderless. So it doesn't really matter if you're a man or a woman. The soul has no gender. It's only given a gender when it's placed into a female or male body. So again here, this is why you just treat it the same way. The soul is the soul, and it's only through the physical form that it's given gender. But some of the hardships that you may come up against is not only that a lot of this information is aimed at females as the divine feminine, but you've got to work through some of the gender expectations, conditioning and programming that can happen from being a man. So you may have to go against some of these gender roles on this journey. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, for example, a lot of my clients say as men in the divine feminine role that they feel like they can't cry or show emotion, and especially publicly. They feel like as a man, they've been programmed and conditioned by societal expectations to not be crying or showing too much emotion, because that can be deemed a weakness. And I just want to explain here that this is simply not true. Healed feminine energy means that you are able to show healthy emotion, that you are able to be vulnerable, and that you are not afraid to laugh when you're happy, cry when you're sad, or show any range of emotions that come up for you. So when you're healed and in a balanced energy, you should be able to express emotion or vulnerability without any fear of judgment or societal conditioning. But again, here that's easier said than done. If you have been heavily programmed through childhood or through your life experiences to, be a staunch man who doesn't express feelings, then it's going to take a little bit of unlearning here. You're going to have to get really comfortable being able to express your true self and not worry about any of the judgments that may come up. All right, so you really are going against conditioning, basically, and breaking down any misconceptions that have been placed upon you in your lives. So again, here I just want to repeat that I personally believe men and women should both be able to show and express emotion as freely as they want, obviously in healthy ways, but just because you are a female or a male shouldn't limit how you express yourself. So a lot of the male divine feminines have to work through this. They really have to get okay at knowing that it's all right to cry, it's all right to grieve, it's all right to be sad, it's all right to miss their twin flame, and that it doesn't make you any less masculine by shifting into your feminine side. And again, both twins here are trying to heal and balance their masculine and feminine energies. So part of having healthy, balanced feminine energy, like the label says, is to be comfortable in your emotions. And the other challenge here that a male divine feminine may face is when their twin flame starts to return. So often we're taught traditionally that men pursue women, men should lead a connection, and all of those societal rules that we have been so heavily programmed by. But it may not work out like that on this journey. As you come into inner union, or as you reach a certain point on your journey, your twin flame may return. And when your twin flame returns and is a female, or regardless of their gender, you may need to allow them to lead the connection and to ground it back into the 3D. So this can be hard as a male here too, because you may feel like as the man, you're meant to lead and ask the woman out and do all of those things that a male would in a traditional connection. But this is not a traditional relationship. So your job here is to act according to the divine feminine role, which means letting your twin come back in and ground that connection into the 3D. So you may have to step back a bit here and let your twin flame lead. And if they are a female, then you may be worried that this is not how it's typically done. But again, here I want you to ignore gender. This is not like a traditional relationship. So you just allow your twin flame as the divine masculine to come back in as they choose. So again, just know that your souls obviously agreed to do it this way around. Before you came here, you and your twin must have agreed that you were going to be in these particular roles according to your gender. And basically, I really just think it's just something extra that you have to overcome. So it's almost like an extra challenge or a block that you may have to work through, just the same way like an age gap might be, or a location issue might be. Your block or issue here is just to overcome the gender roles, okay? Or more to the point, to let go of gender expectations and stereotypes. And again here, if you are a same-sex twin, then you shouldn't be worrying about gender here. You should just be following the role of your label. So you just go by whether you're a divine feminine or a divine masculine, and you work through the roles of that side of the journey. So we think like gender's a really big deal and all of that, but it isn't on this journey. If you're a divine feminine, then your job is to go through the spiritual awakening process, try to reach inner union, try to find peace and joy and become your best self, And that simply doesn't matter whether you are a male or a woman. All right, so yeah, just simply follow the guidelines of whether you're in the chaser or the runner role. Remember that twin flames do a bit of both anyway. Both twins are technically both the runner and the chaser. It just flips around from time to time. And both twins are sort of trying to come to inner union and alignment, and breaking down any kind of stereotypes or societal programming. And that's what twin flames do. We kind of show the world that unconditional and true love doesn't abide by the laws of the matrix. It doesn't abide by everything we've been told. Unconditional and true twin flame love has its own special place and has its own special path, and we don't need to really follow by the rules of the matrix anymore. I hope that helps. Thank you so much for listening, and have a beautiful day.